First, I want to do a shout out. Well, first I would say welcome to the call. It's a beautiful Thursday morning here on May 11th. This is the 30th anniversary of the day that I left my uncle's brokerage and went and ran someone else's brokerage. So it's a pretty big day in my career because so much happened after that in terms of getting to where I am today. So I'm pretty excited about that. Monday will be my 43rd anniversary in the real estate business. So there's a lot going on. Casey has inspired me to do a Facebook Live, which I'm going to do probably later today. We have these calls the second Thursday of every month at 9 a.m. We call them our monthly leadership call. We're going to encourage you. I'm repeating this because there's some new people on that have probably not been on the call before. So I want you all to know why we're doing it, and we record it. Where do we post it, Selena, once it's recorded?
On our YouTube channel. I will post that in the chat link in just a moment. Okay,
good. All right. So typically we like, as Casey said, to put something in the chat that will tell us a little bit about what you'd like to get out of it. Today, I'm pretty excited. My wife and I have had some wonderful experiences recently, personal growth experience, call it personal development. And those are the kinds of things that we feel we need to pass on or feel inspired to pass on to you because of the difference it makes in our lives. More importantly, what Casey said in the beginning about being stuck in the same day over and over again, those are some of the things we're going to address today. I've also noticed in my coaching calls, many of you know I do a lot of coaching calls, as I've noticed that people are really reliving over and over again the same day. We also learned some things about the fight or flight part of our bodies and what it does to us. And I want to share a little bit about all of that. What I'd like to start with, though, is either a shout out for somebody or a win for you each. We don't have enough people on the call that it will keep us from doing it. Sometimes when we have a lot more people, we don't do that because it takes up too much of the call. But I'd love for you guys to first come on camera, second, come off mute, and each of you feel free to yell out a shout out or a win or both. I'm going to start really quickly with a shout out to Selena for supporting me with my sticky note syndrome, and a shout out to my wife for becoming a bigger, better version of herself and inspiring me to do the same. So who would like to jump in there?
I'll jump on, Rick.
Thanks, Kevin.
Hey, yeah, so I'd like to give a shout out. He's not online, or he's not here today on the Zoom call, but Christian De Leon, just a gentleman who I've met the past couple of months. And I just want to give a shout out and be appreciative to all the knowledge and everything that he's willing to help out with.
Oh, he is on actually, Kevin. So
is he? Oh, shout out to Christian.
That's nicey, buddy. And Kevin, for the rest of the people who don't know you, what's your last name?
Zelaya, Kevin Zelaya.
Okay, great. Thank you for being on, Kevin.
Yes, thank you for your time, Rick. Appreciate it.
No worries. Christian, did you hear that, buddy?
Absolutely.
Nice.
How are you? Thank you so much. Just finished my workout. I'm wearing my seven-figure runaway shirt, and I'm humbled to be able to pay it forward and bring a ton of value. I feel like the more people we help and teach and provide support, I want to see them successful and living their best life. So thanks for the shout out, Kevin, and everyone on here.
Nice to have you, Christian.
Appreciate it, man.
Likewise.
Appreciate it.
Absolutely.
All right. Who else wants to jump in there?
Good morning. This is Nagar.
Hi, Nagar. Welcome to your first call.
Thank you. Thank you. Sorry, I'm not on camera because I just found out an hour ago. So next time I'll be. Right. But thank you so much. Shout out to you, Rick, for bringing me on board. I'm excited. And your wonderful wife. Hello, Casey. Nice to meet you. Also, I want to also say I'm thankful to Lydia in Rosie's team who has helped me a lot.
Nice. Okay. Yes. Lydia that works with Rosie is amazing at all areas of onboarding and being there to assist. Yeah, she's great.
Yes, she's been really helpful. And prompt, very, I'm thankful to you all. Thank you so much.
Nice.
I haven't met Cynthia yet. She's on, I guess, traveling or something.
She goes
won't
by
be back for a few weeks.
She goes by Cindy.
Cindy.
Yeah. Cynthia is just what EXP knows her at. Like EXP knows me as Richard, but I go by Rick. So yeah.
Cindy.
And then of course Selena's on here too that I introduced you to.
Oh, hello. I watched a couple of your videos already. I'm very new to EXP, so welcome. I was watching you a few times. Yeah. Wonderful. Yeah. I took some notes and learned from you.
Oh, good. Excellent.
Shout out to you too. Nice meeting you.
You too. You too.
All right. Okay. Another shout out or a win. That's what we want to hear. There's a few of you that haven't talked, so we've only got another minute or so before we're going to shut this down and move on. Ralphie, you got anything? Tom Costello, you got anything?
I'm taking a listing today. It cost me a buy side in Dublin, but that's because Lennar they hate real estate agents and want them all to die. But
Ralph, I'm gonna do a jig.
I mean, the dominoes are starting to fall now. It just took a little while.
Whoop, 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 whoop.
Nice work, Ralph. Good job. Yeah, I've got to win. In keeping with Ralph's momentum, I'll keep the train going. I have a pocket listing that I've been using. Hey, Selena, I love your cheerleading. You're the best. So, yes, I need to have a conversation with you, Selena. We'll schedule that offline. Yeah. It's a person I met at an open house.
Same phone number, Tom. Don't worry, it's still the same phone number.
Oh, cool, awesome, good to know. Guy that I met at an open house, and this is the a monument to persistence and consistency. I did an open house on a rainy day, and that's usually realtors' code for don't waste your time, go do something else. No one's going to come out. Your signs are going to get wet. Well, guess what? I did an open house, and 2 people came by, and this neighbor was one of them. And he didn't even want to give me my information. He saw that I was with EXP, and he said, "Oh, I've got one of your office people that I'm talking to." Well, I'm like, "One of my office people? Like, who's that?" And he goes, "Oh, he couldn't even remember his name." Anyway, he said, I had to keep being persistent, kind, rapport, la la la. Finally got his information, and he said, "Well, your skill in getting my information is proof enough that I'll talk to you." And I'm like, "Okay, great." Ends up gives me the pocket listing, and I've been using that just to market to people without giving the address. I just say, "I've got a pocket listing. Thought you might want to know about it. Here's the description." And some people are, "No, we haven't. We decided to put it off a year to interest rates, blah, 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 blah," all the same excuses. But 3 of them has said, "Yes, I'd like to know more. Please send me the video." Like, sweet. So trying to turn this into an actual full-blown listing so we can get it on the market and get the most for it. But if I can sell it, even double-ended as a pocket listing, hallelujah, I'll do that too. So, but I asked him for proof of life. I said, of all the real estate agents in Roseville, why me? And he said, "Well, you were crazy enough to have an open house on a rainy day. So I figured you were either really good and really persistent or crazy." And I said, "Well, which one is it?" and he said, "Well, so far you're really good." I'm like, "Okay, cool. I'm probably a little bit of crazy too, but hopefully it's a good kind of crazy." So there you go.
For the rest of you on the call, I want you to know that I dance like this for everybody when they get a listing. It's this level of excitement for everybody. So, guys, sweet. I'm so excited.
All right. This is great. Tom and Ralph, we're rooting for you guys, and everybody else on here too. So last minute, who else has a win or a shout out? I noticed we've added a couple people to the call, so give you guys another chance to yell out a shout out to someone or a win.
I have a shout out for Selena for being a leader of self, who recently had a greater awareness and made a decision and a commitment, and is bringing everything about her thoughts and her actions and behavior in line with that. And I admire that. So way to go, Selena.
Thank you. You just wake up and decide who you're going to be, guys. Yeah. Like literally, you just wake up and decide who you're going to be.
Absolutely. Amen.
So I had a win yesterday while I'm waiting for Rita and had her to speak up. I went to a real estate event, which means there's going to be a lot of realtors there. And it was a chili cook-off kind of, and you tasted chili and you bought raffle tickets. And, you know, I ran into a lot of people. The whole purpose I go is to meet people again and re-see people and see if I can make some connections. And yes, there's a little bit of an ulterior motive to strike up conversations and recreate, you know, re-strengthen relationships I had in the past in the interest of possibly recruiting in the future. But I also went just to kind of have a quick bite of chili. They were little sample cups. You went around, tasted everybody's chili. And they gave, you know, I bought $40 worth of raffle tickets and I forgot to put them in for the raffles. So I was getting ready to leave. I really wanted to get home. And I started, thank you, Selena, 300 bites of chili. So the lady that was working the booth started dropping all my numbers into these different bags, just spreading them around because they were for different prizes. And I go, okay, here's the stubs, keep them, I got to go. Just as I was starting to leave, they called the first number and it was mine. The very first number they drew for this big, huge basket that was literally this big around, that had all kinds of olive oil and wine and, you know, all this stuff like balsamic vinegar, just a great basket. They said, oh, I go, oh my, that's my number. And I just took this basket. I go, okay, I really got to go. And I carried it all the way downstairs because my car was 2 blocks away. And I go, oh crap, I got to give somebody these ticket stubs. So I ran back upstairs. And just as I ran back upstairs, they drew another number and it was mine again. And it was this bottle of tequila. I guess it's a Costco bottle. Would you say it was about that big, babe? It was Hornitos.
It just share with 400 of your closest friends.
Yeah. It was Hornitos.
That is awesome.
Hornitos Reposada. And I go, oh, that's my number. And everybody looked at me and go, wait, it's a fix. He got 2 of them. And I go, no, I'm really leaving now. And I gave the rest of the tickets to someone else and I took off. So it just felt great because I had so many people say, I had these 2 questions. What are you doing here? That was one question that I got asked by like 10 people. I go, I'm not sure what you mean by that. I live like 8 miles from here. It's a real estate agent event and I'm a real estate agent. I had a bunch of other people go, what are you doing these days? I don't know. Monday's my 43rd anniversary of selling real estate. Remember, I sell real estate. So it was really a great, great visit. And it was humbling because I realized that a lot of people know me, but a lot of people don't know I still sell houses. So that's kind of crazy.
Well, we need to think about the fact that they don't know you still sell houses. So yeah, that's telling me something.
Considering I'm showing their listing.
It's like, oh my gosh, did you just say that in front of Selena? You did.
I was like, apparently we're not doing enough marketing. I was like, crap.
Apparently I'm not taking enough listings is what the problem is. So anyway, that was my win. I really enjoyed it. It was great. And I'm going to probably do more of that stuff that I used to do years ago when I ran offices. So.
Can't wait to see what's in the basket.
A lot of cookies in that basket.
That tequila bottle sounds like, you know, it should be for a team building event.
Yes, God, it is a lot of tequila, I'm telling you. So anyway, all right.
You could have bought lottery ticket too.
Yes, yeah, I should have. Yeah. Okay, not hearing from anybody else. Let's move on. So I'm going to ask Casey to jump in a little bit on this too. We had the occasion several years ago to start reading the books of and listening to Dr. Joe Dispenza. I'd like you to write us.
Yeah, how many people, just by a show of hands, know who that is, that have done any of the work or read any of his books? Most people are not on Zoom video, so if you can raise your hand through the stuff. Okay. Well, yeah, or put a note in there. That works great.
Yeah, Christian De Leon says it. Tom Costello. Good. Yeah, this is
I watch his videos.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, on YouTube. I know who he is. Yeah.
All right. So we had the opportunity after many years of meditating to Dr. Joe Dispenza. And guys, a lot of us, I notice this from my friends, when they hear the word meditation, we automatically have this visual of somebody with their legs crossed going, Om. And this is a different kind of meditation. These are guided meditations where someone's talking in your ear while you're meditating or when you're running it. And Dr. Joe's an Italian white guy, right? He's not like Indian or anything, but he has mastered his world through meditation. And I can have Casey expand on that a little bit. We started, like I said, meditating more probably religiously, if you will, back around the time the pandemic came. And Before that, Casey had bought several of his books. And I didn't read any of the books. I skimmed several of them, but didn't really read any of them, but really was starting to get the use. So we were able to, thanks to one of our friends from Southern California, sign up for one of his retreats. Every time we try to sign up for his retreats, they would be sold out. And we got signed up for one in Nashville from the 17th of April to the 16th to the 23rd. It was really incredible. It was life-changing, life-altering, and of course, really added to the layers of changes of beliefs that I've had over the last 15 years. So one of the things that really resonated with me, and I'm going to say it how I experienced it, and I'm going to ask Casey to jump in and kind of share how she experienced it, is that he basically was showing us scientific proof that when the body is in the fight or flight syndrome, meaning the parasympathetic nervous system, that you go into fight or flight, meaning you're in danger, something bad happened, whatever, and you're either going to run, hide, or fight. And these go back to the days of people being in danger from other animals. Animals have this system too, that when a deer is grazing in the field and they smell or hear in the distance that there might be a predator, they take off running and they turn it on and they run like crazy. And then when they know they're safe, they turn it off and go back to grazing as if nothing ever happened. We don't do that. When we have something that is traumatic happen in our lives, we don't turn it off. In fact, we carry it with us as we remember it, and we relive the trauma. And Dr. Joe was able to show us scientific proof that of course, your genes make proteins. And when you are in the fight or flight syndrome or stress syndrome, the quality the proteins made are downgraded and can actually cause disease in your body, cancer. I talked to one of my clients yesterday. She's 80 years old. She has blood sugar levels at 400 or 500. That's life-threatening blood sugar levels. And it's all about her stress. And I even I wanted to tell her, I said, stress really comes from worrying about things you have no control over. If there's some way you could stop doing that, right? Being as calm and simple as I can. That's the problem. We keep reliving all of the stuff we have no control over. We keep reliving the past and bringing it in. So I noticed a lot of things about myself. I noticed that I was judgmental. I noticed that I was selfish. And if, a lot of you will say, oh, I know you, Rick, you're not neither of those. Well, that's not what's necessarily going on inside of me. And so those are the things that I decided I would work on. I would use my meditation practices to envision an amazing future and think about the things that I wanted to dismiss out of my life, judgment, those kinds of things, and think about the elevated emotions I would have as I started to eliminate these things. But more importantly, is not be thinking about my past and the things I've created and how I've gone through difficult times to get them, but think about a beautiful vision of your future. And if you keep that vision in your mind, it's kind of like you're believing that all your dreams have come true already. And what would be the emotion you'd have if they had? And behaving in those emotions, joy, gratitude, excitement, those are the things I'm talking about. Abundance, all of those things. So how do we relate that to our lives? Everybody on here is either selling real estate, recruiting people to EXP, or doing a little of both, okay? And whatever's important to you is important to you. I don't want to interject there or even attempt to change your mind about what's important to you. All I want to do is what's important to you, give you an opportunity to think about a way so that what's important to you can really go after in a fashion that will bring it to you. All right. So Case, real quick, would you share a little bit up till now what you experienced in the same time frame?
Yes. So, well, first off, I'd like any comments, feedback, shares from anybody that's on the call that's done any of that work or is doing any of that work.
I have, but it's hard for me to explain. So I'm not going to try, but I've done a lot of those kind of works on myself for many, many years. So hopefully I can use it in this business and, benefit a lot of people as well.
Okay, great. Anyone else?
Yeah, I'll just share.
Sure.
Did I interrupt someone?
Go ahead, Tom.
Along with what Rick's saying about focusing on the future that you want to create rather than the past. Everyone has a past, whether it's traumatic or peachy. But even if it was peachy, you can still find things in your past that you don't like, disappointments, failures, mistakes, whatever. And you can choose to hyper focus on those and be pissed off about life, upset, whatever. Or you can focus on, like Rick said, the future that you want to create. And it's in the future that you want, it's whatever you focus on that you're going to get. We all heard it, whatever you focus on expands. Whatever you think about, you get more of. So just, it's a daily practice when I catch myself focusing on the past, just to, or whatever, the things I don't like, just to focus on creating the compelling future that pulls me forward. So good word, Rick.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing. So, you know, Rick's saying meditations, and I'm thinking the Calm app. And, you know, I used to think that was meditation. And I would say, based on, you know, taking that word that different people think different things about, it's really about how to create brain and heart coherence. So that is an entirely different conversation. On how you create brain and heart coherence, and literally the electrical energy of the heart and the electrical energy of the brain, and what happens when you create coherence between those two things. So, you know, another layer of perspective would be, and so much about this is that literally when our brains think a thought in our cognitive brain, the reason and logic part of the brain, that in our body automatically signals our body to create a cocktail of chemicals that happens immediately when that thought goes through the cognitive part of the brain. And so the body is responding by creating that cocktail of chemicals that then show up as an emotion or a feeling, when repeated over and over, becomes memorized, and we become addicted to what that is through the memorization of those feelings. So if you're in an ineffective pattern of behavior or a situation that is that you know intellectually is not ideal or aligned with where you want to go, and you find yourself continuing to participate or be in that environment or be impacted by it, it is because you have an addiction to feeling a certain way, even if the way that you're feeling is ineffective. And every time you tell the story of something in the past, it brings up that thought, which recreates another cocktail of those same chemicals, which anchor the addiction to that emotion or that feeling in your body. And so, you know, when we talk about this from a business perspective, if you had somebody that was giving you a recap of the day of what are the thoughts that moved through your mind when you think about your real estate sales business, when you think about your career, what are the thoughts that went through your head that day? Every one of those thoughts sends a corresponding cocktail of chemicals that get created in your body to memorize an emotion that's going to give you a perspective or a lens that you're viewing things through, your business, your future, right? And so the word meditation to me doesn't mean a whole lot anymore, because I used to get on the Calm app and think that I was meditating. And so now when I think about meditation, I think about a process of creating coherence between the brain and the physical heart, and what happens when you take the time to do that in the body. And so as we look at like that week and that experience and the things that we learned, the brain, the cognitive brain sends out, like, every single thought that we have has a frequency that's attached to it. And every single cell in the body has a frequency. Disease has a certain frequency. Healthy cells have a certain frequency. Everything has a frequency attached to it. And then the heart, and the purpose of the heart is to experience the emotion that then draws the event back to you. And so a lot of that learning and understanding was really about becoming, right? Because when someone, and everyone's had the experience, I'm sure, on this call, where you've been in a state of flow, where things are coming to you effortlessly. It seems like magical. Like, how could this many things be falling in my lap? I haven't, done that much to make it happen. And it's like, you know, you should be on a slot machine or a gambling table somewhere because you just cannot lose, like you're in a state of flow, right? And so when we have experienced that, it doesn't matter what you touch, it turns to gold. And that is an example of when your cognitive brain is coherent with your emotional heart and you're in that kind of flow. Yet how often do people experience living in that kind of flow versus it being fleeting? Like, oh, it happened for a day and it hasn't happened for a couple of months. And so I think that, you know, big takeaway from the event that we were at is, if I love myself enough and if I value myself enough, I'm going to start my day creating brain and heart coherence so that the person I take into my day and that goes out into my day is not the same version of me that woke up yesterday and went and executed my day. It's a more aware version of me. It's a more intentional version of me. And it's a more coherent version of me, such that what I go out and touch and impact and experience is going to be completely different. In the absence of doing that, it's literally waking up and just recreating the same day over and over and over again and calling it living a life. And so that was a really big awareness. And I think about that, you know, when the alarm goes off at 5:30 and I'm like, oh my God, I do not feel like getting up. Oh, well, why is that? It's because my brain is floating in melatonin because it's not awake yet, except for when I get up and move it, it moves from floating in melatonin to serotonin. So that's a chemical response in the body. That's it. Our body is our brain controlling, is our mind controlling our body, or have we given up and become a victim to our body controlling our mind? And so, you know, what's the point of this as it relates to business and the real estate business and the real estate market and whatever it is that, you know, you're focusing on, whether that's building an organization or real estate sales or a combination of both? The common denominator is always going to be me for my day and what I'm going to touch, and you for your day and what you're going to touch and experience, right? And you can have the experience of grinding it out and grit and muscling through it to never be in flow and just be a gritty hard worker. Or you can create an entirely different experience where when you have alignment, because you literally have electrical coherence between your brain and the physical heart that sits in your body, you can go out and create from a different place. Oh, by the way, and attract a totally different set of people, circumstances, and results. And so, you know, more than anything, it was a check-in of like, wow, am I operating as a victim in my life? Where am I operating as a victim in my life still? For me, right? And where am I operating as someone that's going to be responsible and intentional about what that is, right? So one of the things that he said in the course of that week was, if you love yourself enough to get up every day and put your brain into brain and heart coherence, which, oh, by the way, it's an hour and 10 minutes to an hour and 15 minutes to go through that process in the morning. It's not jumping on the Calm app for 10 minutes. It's an actual process to create that kind of chemical connection between brain and heart. What it demonstrates to yourself is a worthiness of everything that shows up when those things show up in a really big way, because of course they would show up, because I value myself enough to put myself in a place to go out and create at the highest level and then to receive at the highest level. In the absence of doing that, then I question it. It becomes difficult. It's like, oh, am I worthy of receiving that? I'm not actually doing the work. You know, it trickles over into what's going to happen during the day. So just some great perspectives to be able to look at through the filter of business and life. And, you know, as anything, we can look around and we can look at what different people create and what they experience and what's the difference between me and them or you and them, or really the only difference is the way that we think and how we intentionally manage ourselves, our mindsets, and our energies for the individual that we take out into our day each day. So I know that was a lot. However,
actually, I thought you were brilliant at articulating kind of the process that you go through with this. And what I'll add to that is that when I do my nighttime meditation, and Casey and I are not always doing the exact same meditations. Our morning meditations are a little different. Hers are longer, mine are a little shorter. What I'm experiencing is that my meditation at the end of the day, he's guiding you through a process to not get into those negative emotions about how you ran your day. That's what we do. And I've shared this long before I did the Joe Dispenza work. I'd ask people, how many times do you get to the end of the day and start going over all the things you didn't do, as opposed to giving yourself grace and, grace and acknowledgement for the things you did do. And, as I listened to my meditation last night and really got into it, and I was sitting up against my backboard of my bed and my legs straight out in front of me. And he said, take a look at yourself as if you're observing yourself from the eyes of someone else. And as I did that and I went through my day, I really did see some things that I was really proud of. Staying in curiosity, not in judgment, not reacting, like things like that. And all of the things that happened in the day that were what he calls mystical, and what I call mystical because they come out of nowhere. And Casey just mentioned that, like things start to happen that you have no explanation for. I told Casey that I was driving to this event from the South Bay to the northern part of the East Bay. And I got a call from a longtime friend of mine. I've known her since 2008. So what is that? 15 years. And I have been talking to her about EXP since the day I came here to EXP, 6.5 years. And, a lot of times she just said, Rick, if I ever come, it'll be with you, I promise. And just otherwise, let's just not talk about it too much. And we enrolled her into the same personal development program we've been to. And she came and stayed at our house. And Casey and I went to her, to congratulate her after she had that event, and all kinds of great things. And I've, referred other agents to her that needed somebody in that area to do business. And so we stay in touch 2-3 times a year. But she called me and I called her back. I didn't know that she had left a voicemail. And we started talking about Warriors basketball and that she was going down to put a $400 bet on the Warriors. And she said she did it last week and they lost, so she wants to win it back. And she's kind of a day trader besides being a realtor. So we talked about that. And then she goes, did you listen to my voicemail? I said, no, I didn't know you left one. I just called you right back. And she goes, so you have no idea why I called you? And I said, no. She goes, I called you because it's time I joined EXP. I literally went silent for like 4 seconds. She goes, hello. And it's that thing, like I had the realization in the moment, almost caught myself because I literally wanted to break into tears of joy, by the way, that these things just start to happen out of nowhere. We hadn't talked in probably a couple of months, right? So that's the kind of thing I'm talking about. But as you go through the day and you start to, notice these behaviors, is judgment a behavior that's going to keep you in the vision of your future? Probably not. Is reacting negatively going to do that? What are those emotions? And so I'm constantly checking in. I'm having a lot more fun these days because I'm a lot more calm. I'm a lot more in my shoes. I'm less exaggerative and less reactive. So anyway, that's kind of the experience I'm having. Now, I have some more things I want to talk about as it relates to specifics for each of us in our real estate business. But given what she said, and thank you guys for contributing, what are some thoughts, questions, ahas, or takeaways that you got from Casey's reiteration of what we experienced? Hate it when you all talk at once. Christian, if you're talking, we don't hear you. There you go.
Can I say something?
Yeah, absolutely. Jump right in.
So, yes, I love Dr. Joe Dispenza. I got introduced to his material back in 2005. And I follow a lot of the stuff. I hear a lot of his podcasts, and yeah, he's a different personality. He's awesome. So a few things that I definitely agree with Casey as far as what she mentioned. However, I think what's really important is we always have to seek counsel over opinions, because I feel like that becomes a lot more clear in what you want to develop in. So when you become clear with what it is that you're seeking, you're willing to do whatever you got to do to fulfill that purpose, and it gives more. It brings more significance. Like I'm going through a big body transformation this past year, not only mindset, but my heart, my spirituality with my connection with the Lord, and knowing that there's certain doors that are going to close because that's just God's plan, but there's going to be an abundance of doors that are going to open because he's going to bring the right, when you're vibing in a certain level, he's going to bring the right people. He's going to attract you to the right people that are either going to elevate you or you're going to elevate people as well. So I know that by seeking counsel over opinion, all that's going to do for us is elevate our lives, you know, and I feel like what you mentioned is great. And I posted something today about people because I've gained so many new relationships this past year. And I heard this from Joel Osteen, where he says 25% of the people are not going to like you and never will. 25% of the people won't like you, but could be persuaded to you. 25% will like you, but could be persuaded not to. 25% will like you and will stand by you no matter what. I've been in the industry for 25 years. I've got long-term agents with me that have been with me for as long as I decided to launch my business. And I've had agents that were with me for almost 20 years and they're no longer with me. Not to say that the grass is going to be greener for them on the other side. All I can do is just send them their blessing. But the right people come and are attracted to you. I've recruited a handful of people this past month in EXP, and these are people that I didn't have to go in there and try to persuade in any way. I think that when you're vibing a certain way, people are just attracted to you. So yes, absolutely. And to end it, I put play your game and don't get distracted. 100% out of the breakdown. So.
I love what you shared, Christian, and specifically, transformation is all about change, right? And based on just natural behavioral styles, a lot of people don't like change because it's so much more comfortable to sit in the discomfort of the familiar than to sit in an unknown, right? And that's really where the magic happens, is where you walk into the unknown that becomes it closes doors that limit us and it opens doors, of expansion. And if we can walk in that each day, and trust everything is right on track because we're operating from that open space and willing to be in the unknown and keep moving ourselves forward. It's that's where those miracles happen. So, and they're not, they're just sitting there waiting for us to be ready to receive them because we show up differently. So I love and applaud you for being willing to go on that journey in every aspect, mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually. Right. And anybody that knows you knows that you have created so much. Right. And when we look on the outside of what people have created, that is a reflection of where they are on the inside. However, the inspiring part is to be in that place that you're in right now of okay, that's great. And what's next? Where else can I expand and step into? Who will I receive from in that way? And who can I contribute to at a higher level as I do that? And so it's that process, that continual process of becoming versus, oh, I have become, and this is me, and this is just how I do my life. So that's so inspiring. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah, absolutely. We all have to allow things to decompress because there's light at the end of the tunnel. And that happens with our business. We plant a lot of seeds. Sometimes they don't, if you don't mold them correctly and cultivate them, they take a while to blossom. But if you're on top of your game and you're working on your skills and you're planting a lot of seeds, there are going to be some seeds that are going to blossom, and allow that to decompress, and that's what builds patience in me, to know that I'm clear of where my end result's going to be. So it's kind of like working with the ending mind. So thank you.
Yeah, I posted something on my Facebook page this week, and I saw it, and it was a picture of someone cleaning out stuff in their house, right? And it was what do you keep? What do you get rid of? And what do you donate and whatever? And it said, does this get into the habit of asking yourself, does this support the life I'm trying to create? And when I saw it, I was like, oh yeah, you know, you're cleaning out your life. And I just did this because I moved. But when I looked at it, I thought it's not just about the stuff in your house, right? It's like, is it also the people and where you're spending your time and where is your energy going and all of this stuff? Because sometimes we keep people in our life also that are not supporting the life we try to create, right? And it's like, you have to look at every aspect inside of your, you know, your sphere, right? Everything from what is impeding on the life that you're trying to create. And it was like, where is this time that I'm spending? Is that impeding on it? Is it the energy that you're spending? Is it the thought inside of your head? Is that impeding on the life I'm trying to create? Is it the time, you know, where am I spending my time? Who am I spending it with? All of those different things. Because I had a conversation with someone the other day who is important in my life. It's a family member. And it was just nonstop negativity during the conversation, nonstop, total victim conversation the whole time. And it was such a hard conversation to listen to, because every time we have that conversation, any conversation, it's negative. And I was like, oh, this is really, really hard. And I was like, this is not who I want to be. And so I was like, what can I do to limit this? Right? You know, and what do you do in that situation? And you have to kind of look at that situation and say, this is not who I am being, right? This is not who I'm being. And I don't want this for them either. But then what do I do to limit that? And how do I keep it from leaking into who I'm being every day? Because it's not supporting the life I'm creating. So it was like this kind of slap in the face of, okay, we're going to limit this, allowing it into my, you know, my bubble. It was a kind of a wake up call, because that just impedes, like it didn't ruin my day, but it allowed me to realize for a moment that you've got to limit that. You've got to say nope. Because I was having a stellar day. I was like on fire that day. I told Rick, I was like, boom. I woke up that day and I was like, boom, shakalaka. There's a lot happening today. There was a lot of energy. It was all good. And at the end of the day, that conversation, I was like, ew, nope. You know, negative ghostwriter. Like I felt like shackles had to come down and be like, you know, those things that come down when there's a hurricane and you have to like drop the shutters. Like, nope.
So Charlie and I were just having this conversation, and he said he wanted to put on his outgoing voicemail, I'm making some changes in my environment. If I don't call you back, you are one of those changes.
I need to do that. I'm going to steal that.
I'll send it to you. You know, we were laughing.
That is freaking money.
Yeah, right.
That is awesome.
Tom, how did I know you love that one, Tom? That was a good one.
I need that.
That was beautiful.
You know, well, and I just love that because, right, like when we're in the zone and we're creating and we're in flow and we're with, you know, belly to belly with people that are in the same energy, and you get the energy of like being united in that, like everybody working on their individual stuff, however, collectively in that same, you know, energy and space. And then you have an experience of someone, or I have an experience of someone that is like on another field playing a totally different game. You know, it can be like, whoa, it is, you know, it's like alarming. And then we realize, gosh, what up, you know, it's like a great check-in of what am I exposing myself to? Why am I exposing myself to that? How do I create, you know, a different space around me and protect and guard and actively nurture, you know, the energy that I know is going to be effective for me continuing to move myself forward? And who are the people that, regardless of what I want in my life, are there to champion it, you know, that aren't going to judge it, that are like, you want that? Great. I love you. What can I do to support you in that? Like, let's go get it. And no questions asked, versus like so many of the other dialogues and conversations that come up with well-meaning people in our lives that are afraid to lose us if we change or outgrow them. Right. And that's just the fact of life. That's how it goes. Right. Most people are not in a state of really wanting to grow and change. And so when we grow and change, it impacts and creates, you know, this this wave of things where, yeah, the people that aren't in that space wanting to do that same thing can feel threatened by that. And so it's just, the more awareness we have around it, and then intentionally can put ourselves in, around people that, are people based on where we want to go, not where we're at, those things become key. So Rick, as we're going into the last, little bits of this call, I know you wanted to talk about calendaring. We want to talk about the 8-week plan that we're going to roll out on the builders call next Tuesday. And so let's land the plane.
Yeah, you talk about the 8-week plan. I want to close out with the calendar stuff.
Okay, perfect. So on the first and third Tuesdays of the month, we have the builders call, and that's for anyone that's wanting to build an EXP organization through attracting agents and recruiting, learning skill sets around that, and coming together as a collective to brainstorm, to mastermind, and to share. And so, yes, and we're also going to talk about who's going to be at shareholders, because we will be at shareholders. Is that next week already?
Yes, next Wednesday we get in.
Good Lord. Okay. So we'll talk about shareholders as well. So for the call next Tuesday, we're going to roll out an 8-week plan, because we'll be exactly 8 weeks out from build. And so we're going to definitely talk strategy. We're going to talk about what there is to do and how to do it to maximize that for those of you that are committed to building, and what that can look like. And then we're going to be checking in on that 8-week plan as we subsequently have those calls. We're also going to be featuring somebody who's built an organization of over 1,000 agents to date, that's been with us the last 4 going on 5 years. Brent Conley, he's an incredible man. He lives in Southern California and goes back and forth between Southern California and Arizona, and just a really, really nice man. Love him. So we're going to have him on the call next Tuesday as well. You will see promotion coming out for that. For those of you that have, we get our numbers from EXP Corporate, and close to 50% of the agents that we have in our organization are in production, and 50% of the agents in our organization are not in production. Does that mean they don't want to be in production? I don't believe so. However, for those of you that have organizations and agents, there are programs that we're currently running. We're in the middle of Ramp right now that has live coaching calls on Fridays at 10 a.m. for all of the agents that are going through that program, the online aspects during the week through the videos, and the live coaching calls on Fridays at 10 a.m. with Rick and Selena. And then as well, I know, Kevin, one of the things that you brought up on the agenda item for today is utilizing KV Core and leads, and really the systems of the business, which is our Friday calls. That is Systems with Selena, that happens every Friday. Those are deep dive conversations on that. So a lot of, the things are knowing the resources, what's available, where to plug people into. And so those are some of the things coming up. Rick, I'm going to pass it back to you for closing out the call.
Okay, great. Really quickly, guys, look, I'm talking to lots of people every day, every week, and I love all of this stuff we've talked about. And at the end of the day, it's about making time for the things that will be life-changing in the direction of your dreams, period, end of sentence. And I can tell you without a doubt that most of us are not in control of our day. Our day is controlling us. And I still have some semblances of that going on, and I'm working on it every day. Why? Right now, over 3,000 people have access to a Calendly link. That means they can book 30 minutes with me anytime they want. Knowing that is what keeps me going every day, and making sure my calendar is lined out for the things that I've got to do to create my results that I want for me. And each of you need to do that. Without a doubt, I am going to suggest that you start really taking your calendar seriously and putting reminders, having alarms set in your phone, so that the things that are most important to you are going to get done. In other words, I know I've changed my complete habit on how I wake up in the morning, because I want to fit in at least a 30-minute meditation, at least. And I'm working on getting it to where I can have an hour to an hour and a half of meditation. I'm not there yet. And I'm working on all of those things, which means I have to get better and better at my calendar. And what I'm finding is, if I just take one 30-second look at my calendar before I go to bed every night, and then remember, do I need to get up early to adjust things and fix things so that the calendar is dialed in? And now that I know Selena can see my calendar, oh my gosh, I'm putting things in it that I never used to put in. I just go, oh, I'll remember that. So it's very important that if you really want to sell real estate successfully, that you have a minimum of 1 hour a day, 5 days a week. That still gives you 2 days off of lead generation, constant lead generation. And that means not calling people you've already spoken to, because that's called lead follow-up. Now, I know these are basics, and I can tell you that most of us don't follow the basics. Most of us are off like rampant mavericks. Go ahead, Selena.
So for anybody who missed last week's builders call, I ran it last week, and one of the questions that somebody asked, and it ended up being a really great conversation, was they were struggling with being consistent on spending time on lead generation for running the real estate business and committing to agent attraction, right? And so we talked about calendaring, and we talked about how do we fit all of this stuff in, okay? And we spent a lot of time about time blocking. So I posted the link earlier in here for our YouTube channel. Go back and watch the builders call. Okay, we really talked about this and what that looks like, and exactly what Rick just talked about. And just getting into the habit of consistently putting 1 hour for lead gen for sales business and 1 hour for lead gen for agent attraction, and like putting that stuff on your calendar. And if you can't do 1 hour every day, then putting 1 hour every other day for agent attraction, if that's what you want to do. But it has to be on your calendar. Okay, yeah. These things have to be on there. So exactly what Rick is talking about was a really good conversation with agents who are struggling with this right now. So go back and watch the video if you really want to dig a little deeper into this conversation.
Yeah. Alina, would you be opposed to reposting that link to the YouTube channel? Because I looked on the chat, I don't see it. I apologize.
Yep. I'll do it right now.
Thank you.
All right. So that was my message, guys. We've got a couple of minutes for last minute ahas, takeaways, questions. We have to remind you that empirebuilders.pro, that website, has so many resources, access to calls, recordings, all kinds of things. We are doing all we can and constantly building. Selena and I are brainstorming. We're brainstorming yesterday and will be today about new ideas to reach deep into our levels in our EXP organization and touch the people that aren't doing any deals at all. Selena was able to find that over 1,000 people in our organization have not even closed one transaction. So we don't feel like we have an obligation. We feel like we want to let people know that we're here to help them to have the life they want. Okay, so spread the word, be an example. I loved when the Dr. Joe Dispenza retreat ended after pretty much 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. daily. And over 40 hours of meditation in a week. He said, don't go out and be weird. Just go out and be an example. And that was really, really helpful for me before I left, because I was all wound up. I wanted to tell everybody everything. I just said, no, I'm just going to go be the example. So let's do that. Let's change our lives step by step and do the work. Casey?
I was just going to say, everybody on this call is an example. And so it's great to check in and just go, what am I an example of?
Yeah. All right. Okay.
Just a reminder, guys, just real quick, last reminder, all of these calls are always available, even if you lose the link here. If you just go to empirebuilders.pro and you go to the resources page, the links are underneath all of the calls. So if you look and you see the names of the calls, there's a little link there that says access all calls here. And all of the YouTube links are right there specifically for every single one of them. So if you ever lose these links, that's where it is. It just takes you right there.
All right.
Easy.
Thank you all. Text us if you're going to be at shareholders.
Oh, yeah.
Thanks, guys. Thank you.
We'll be at shareholders. Love to see you guys.
Bye, guys. Thank you.